A big thank you to Jero for sponsoring today's video on Patreon. Tifa Lockhart versus Animpakal, Tidus, and Kotis. Yes, I know it's pronounced Tidus. Old habits. Well, we've got haste on the Tifa, but not really doing much of anything else. Now we've got draws to make. We'll just have to hope for some decent top decks. Archdruid's Charm can search out a decent creature for us. Let's just start off with a forest. Flowering of the White Tree for Animpakal. And there is another MDFC land. Disciple of Freya-Lys. Probably just going to play as a land. So forest, I want to go Swiftfoot Boots before our commander. Dragonfire Blade. I included this in a deck. Maybe it was the Kotis deck. Never got to play with it though. +2/+2 and hexproof from mono coloured. Trommel, Seymour's Butler. I never even knew this guy's name whilst I was playing Final Fantasy X, but there we are. So that's going to have things enter with plus counters. And Animpakal is going to have Ward, and is it +2/+1? Yes, so currently a 3/3. And creatures are coming down right in time to block our commander, so Cavern of Souls, and Tifa is human. Play and equip Tifa. Actually should have waited to play the land there, of course. We'd be landing an extra point of commander damage here, but I'll just have to take it into the left at Kotis. We've got fetches at least. We want to be making additional lands if we can. Archdruid's Charm might be a Ramunap. Maybe next turn we can go for the Bridgeworks Battle. We'd have to play a land first, and with Tifa's trigger on the stack, go for this. Pointed at Animpakal, and then we could crack the fetch and pay the ward. We couldn't have this resolve before the ward is the problem. I'm just trying to maximise the amount of doubles we get, because obviously you'd want to have this resolve for +2/+2, then double Tifa a couple of times. Anyway, Falco has come down with a plus and a shield counter on it. Our opponent plays a bounce land and a Boros Signet, and then gets Luminarch Aspirant into place, so is going to put a plus counter on the commander, making this a 4/4, and it swings in at us, so that gives us a good excuse to get rid of that. Looks like the gnomes went in at the other player, came down as 2/2s. Okay, well there's a Zeusa, so definitely want to see a Ramunap now. We've got 2 additional lands, so we could bolt all 3 lands in. Yeah, let's do this. Play the Wooded Foothills. We'd want to do this with a buff already on Tifa, but unfortunately it's not going to play out that way this turn. Bolt down at the Garden of Freya-Lys. Buffs are up 2 and 8. Then it'll be 16. Then it'll be 32. So I think we have to get rid of this guy, seeing as how he just swung in at us. And that's just really lucky that we got into the Azusa. So a 32/2. And I'm sure Animpakal is regretting swinging in at us now, because I might have gone in elsewhere. But we will lose our commander at least. He's going to block with the Luminarch Ascension. 30 commander damage to our opponent. Definitely going to aim for, yes, going into the command zone. Definitely going to aim for Archdruid's Charm for the Ramunap. And this guy goes down to 10 life and 30 commander on turn 4. Kotis, an Indestructible, comes into play. Luckily our commander does have Trample attached to it. Makes all the difference. Summon Ixion. So exile a creature an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield, so we're going to lose. Argument to be made for Kotis. Should probably be Azusa. We'll get the Azusa back at least. And yeah, does go after that. I think I'm still going to aim for Ramunap, because we'll be able to get our commander down, although it won't have hexproof. So yeah, go for it anyway. Maybe actually we could go for the Ancient Green Warden. We've got 6 mana. That'll give us double trigger, and we can still play the lands from the graveyard. And we'll be able to put Swiftfoot Boots on there as well, so yeah, we'll go for that. That's probably our next turn sorted. A Crucible of Worlds as well, so we've got some redundancy. Play and crack Wooded Foothills, and get an untapped land ready to equip the Swiftfoot Boots. Obviously you see what we could have done had we have kept Tifa and Azusa in play. It would have been double triggers on multiple lands being played. But let's just hold back the 5/7 reach for a turn cycle. Might be that I use the battle to fight the Ixion out of the way next turn, because we can actually, we can afford to do both next turn, Tifa and the fight spell. Our opponents might let their guard down for a turn if they're not worried about Azusa being in play. And I'm imagining Kotis is going to swing in this turn. so might be unlucky and not get any creatures to block with. The Dragonfire Blade is +2/+2, pro mono-coloured Sleeper's Robe makes it not unblockable, it has Fear, so it can only be blocked by artifact creatures and black creatures. When it deals combat damage to an opponent, draw a card, Audacity, +2/+0 and Trample, and when that hits the bin, draw a card, so a 6/3 going to try and steal some stuff from us. This is going to be a 2v1 we have to imagine. Managed to get from us a forest, there's Lightning Greaves, Scythe Cat Cub, that's a shame we don't get into that. Blanchwood Armour would be good, Hunter's Insight would be good, and he took a Rampant Growth as well. So Blanchwood Armour, he has a couple of forests in play at the moment, not as good as being in a mono green deck. He's already dealt damage, so he probably should have left Hunter's Insight in exile. He doesn't know if we're able to fish it back out or not, which I don't think we are as it happens. And he does manage to get into another creature, so the Lightning Greaves will be relevant. Although we could leave Shroud stuck on his commander if we get rid of this. Getting a plus counter onto his commander with the Scytheclaw Cub as well, which again won't work if this has Shroud on it. This is a targeted ability. Puts a plus counter with this on a couple of creatures he controls. Hopefully that won't be on the Ixion, make it more difficult to fight. I mean, this is going to disappear anyway, so you would think he's not going to do that. Yeah, puts 1 plus counter on each of these. He would have had 5 toughness anyway, so hopefully we could have still fought it out of the way, but I don't want to see any buffs on Ixion if we're trying to get the Azusa back into play. Tidus is a non-token creature entering, comes in with a plus counter so he can proliferate. Then he can move a counter somewhere if he wants to, so he could remove one from the Saga. He's going to put a Saga counter onto the Falco. More importantly, remove one from the Ixion. So now that's only at chapter 1 again. It will get the plus counters again next turn. And then decides to tap out. Did not proliferate, which is noteworthy. He just tapped the mana out and passed. I mean, he wants to hold back as many blockers as he can by the looks of it. Right, that's Skyshroud Claim. I think we want to, yeah, go ahead with the previous plan. So we'll go for the fight first. I have to carefully select this. It's Bridgeworks Battle. We are casting. We don't want to play the land. So cast Bridgeworks Battle. Point at the Ancient Green Warden. Point at the Ixion. Priority being held up by the Cultist player. So it gives us back Azusa. Maybe we should have played Tifa before now, but landfall triggers on the stack will stop us from just dumping all our lands into play immediately anyway. But we could have at least got one. So Tifa first, bring in Azusa and play one land before this guy does anything to us. Well, it's allowed to land, so this is double landfall triggers on Tifa. Might be that this player has a Defile or something. He's got 3 swamps, so Defile would get rid of Tifa. Plus on Tifa again with another fetch. And getting the double triggers from the Ancient Green Warden. We can make one more land here. So I was thinking of getting down a tap land, but we probably want to keep a fetch in play. Well, we'll want to crack this one definitely because we want to equip up the Swiftfoot Boots. And Tifa will be doubled up to 64, I think. Yeah, 32, then 64. Unfortunately, she's going to die to that Scythe Cub again, but let's try and put the Swiftfoot Boots over there. Alright, we didn't see a Pongify or anything. I will play the Wooded Foothills, because we don't want our graveyard to get exiled. And now Tifa is at 256 power, so I think I'm just going to trample through all this stuff. We're going to have the biggest headache against this guy, I think. So let's go through to combat and lose our Tifa again. This is the problem. We want to be buffing up her, well, we want to be making her unblockable preferably, but we want to be buffing up her toughness as well, so that we can get through things like 2-power creatures. It's just not happening for us here, unfortunately. We can dump plus counters on her and equip her and things. That's why this thing's so good, because imagine all the plus counters and doubling of plus counters we'd be getting. Anyway, I think I'll leave. Yeah, it turns out we're actually going to crack a fetch anyway, because I think I want to put the Swiftfoot Boots onto Azusa. So, minus 214, 256 points of commander damage. Oh, and they just didn't block. Okay, they should have blocked there, because that kind of screws over my opponent. I think I still want to protect Azusa for next turn. We'll have at least one fetch that we can just play over and over again, so let's get the forest in, and double Tifa's power and toughness again. So from a 512 to a 1024 powered commander, protect Azusa and pass. And the beauty is with landfall and getting lots of mana into play just above Tifa, you end up with, of course, a lot of mana as well, which kind of ends up as a bit of an afterthought, but you can replay her plenty. We need to be careful casting things like this, our timing of it, because you don't want to try and draw over 1,000 cards from your deck. That won't go very well. You never know, our opponent might be able to buff Kotis enough to deal lethal commander damage to us, but we've got decent toughness to throw in the way. Oh, actually no, they've got protection, haven't they? So yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe they'll be able to get through to us. Another buff with double strike might do it. They played a tap land as opposed to a fetch, so we know they're not going to double the plus counters this turn, unless they play rampant growth or something. A Scepter of Celebration is +2, I think. Yes, +2 and trample, and they'll get a load of citizens into play, which might make a difference. But if we're looking at 1,000 power on Tifa again next turn, then probably not. So just playing and equipping that won't do it. They'll have us at 18 points of commander damage though, because we're at 6 at the moment. Maybe they'll be able to get something into play that's really frightening. But it looks as though it's just rinse and repeat again next turn. They'll get to make 12 citizen tokens, draw a card to the Sleeper's Robe, as well as steal some stuff from us. We're down to 9. The battle of the commander damage here, apparently. I think we've got Beast Within here, you never know. Maybe they'll be able to get Beast Within onto Tifa, but we should be able to replay her and swing in again easily enough. Haste is quite important in this deck. Become very important for combat in general in Commander, unfortunately. They throw Coat, they've already got Indestructible. They have Kodama, Exploration, Oracle of Moldiah. They've taken one of our bounce lands. Blackblade Reforged, Nature's Law. The Ramunap we were mentioning, Tireless Tracker as well, just trying to get as much toughness into play as possible, but don't think that's going to do it for them. Maybe they'll be able to get stuff into play. Is this on cast? No, it's whenever another permanent enters, so it's Kodama first, then the permanents enter, so a 1-drop in Exploration triggers Kodama, something for free, gets lands in, so he's not triggering landfall on the Tireless Tracker. He does trigger landfall on the Scythe Cub though, and that just goes on itself. And that was the second time it triggered, so it doesn't put a plus counter on and then double, it just tries to double something. And obviously if there's no plus counters to double, then it won't do anything. Couldn't target his Kotis because he equipped it up with Lightning Greaves for whatever reason. And what's he got into play for free? That is Quasi-Revenant, so this is where our absolutely massive power becomes relevant. Gets another land in, 3 cards in hand. On top of his library is Twitching Doll. Luckily for us, this thing has Death Touch. It doesn't have First Strike though. This is one I want to play with. Putting the counters on something seems fun. But we don't really care about Death Touch with our Alpha Strike. He's got down a Hydra's Growth as well, so 2 cards in hand. And that's plus counter doubling as well. I think I had that in here at some point, but deemed it a bit slow. And puts the Mithril Coat onto Kodama. Doesn't look as though he's going to cheat anything else in. So can Tifa smash through all this? I'm glad we kept hold of the Green Warden because I think it's going to be relevant. Okay, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. That is another means of multiple land a turn. So let's get the... I don't think our opponent's going to do anything to us with 1 green held up, so let's go Sky Shroud Claim first of all. And that'll get a couple of untapped lands in for us, which means we double Tifa's power 4 times. I'm actually glad that we're seeing a game in which we don't buff Tifa at all to start off with, and see that she can still do crazy stuff. So we've got 7 untapped mana, excluding the Misty Rainforest. And if we're going to go for Season of the Gathering, we probably just have to do it now, because yeah, we'll draw 16 cards. So Season of the Gathering, that'll be draw, plus counters and trample, I think. Yeah, I don't think we care about the Swiftfoot Boots. Maybe I'll just blow up all his stuff for the fun of it. Never know, he might have a fog or something. Maybe there's a fight spell for... I don't think there's an instant fight spell for 1 mana. Maybe there is. We will get rid of enchantments, I think, as opposed to artifacts. That leaves our Swiftfoot Boots alone at least. Okay, the client lagged there. Luckily there was an Audacity on the stack, otherwise I would have been really annoyed. I've only passed priority once, so I'm praying it doesn't go straight through to combat here. Alright, it doesn't. That would have been annoying. So there we go, finally getting into the stuff. Commanders play the Bristly Bill, Snakeskin Veil. Right, let's play a land. That's the first land of the turn. And we'll just see how massive we can make Tifa. Yeah, it's still lagging. I've clicked on the wooded foothills here. And see the double triggers, so she's now 64 power. Let's get Dryad of the Elysian Grove in to get another landfall. We'll have to crack these fetches in order to do it. And yeah, our opponent scooped. So basically we crack this. It's 128, 256 with this. Play the Dryad of the Elysian Grove gives us another 3 lands, I think we're up to. So play a fetch 3 times. Oh, but actually I'm forgetting about the double triggers. Whatever, I'll let someone work it out in the comment section, but I think it's safe to say she was going to be absolutely gigantic. I'll probably work it out in the edit and put a number up here, and you can confirm whether or not it is correct. But yeah, even when you have to use her as a glass cannon and replay her after every combat, she's still incredible apparently. The haste is very important, like I said, but luckily we were able to get into it there. Tifa being absolutely dominant there, which we've all fantasized about already, I'm sure. Hopefully you've all enjoyed this, as ever. If you want to see more from it, then you must let me know in the comment section. Any other Final Fantasy commanders that you would like to see, same thing. Massive thank you to the patrons for their support of the channel, keeping me doing this. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.